And we are moving on with the next fireside chat that is going to tackle the consumer fintech startup topic. They will talk about challenges and the landscape in general. So please welcome on stage Kamil Mieczakowski, Notion Capital Associate, and Teodor Blidarus, Fintech OS founder and CEO. Let's give them a big round of applause. You have the mics right here. One for you. And another one. Okay.
Which one would you like? Maybe there? Hi, everyone. My name is Kamil Mieczakowski, and I'm an investor with Notion Capital, which is a Series A fund based out of London. Really excited to be here. My first time in Romania. So maybe I'll start with a few quick words about myself and Notion, and then we'll move on to Teodor and Fintech OS. I heard that there's some very exciting things to announce that came out today. So I've been in venture for slightly over 2 years now, initially at Mosaic Ventures, which is another fund based in London. And less than 2 months ago, I moved to join Notion Capital. Before that, I co-founded 2 startups in big data space and also worked for a fintech startup backed by Northern, MCI Capital, and Paul Forrester from Indeed.com called Mosaic Venture, Market Invoice, which was in peer-to-peer invoice finance space. So Notion Capital is a very entrepreneurial-driven fund. We're not actually bankers. 3 founders who created Notion built 3 companies before creating a fund. The final one, Message Labs, ended up being acquired by Symantec in 2008 for $700 million cash. And they decided that they want to build on this B2B expertise and created B2B Specialist Series A fund. We invest in companies with some evidence of early product market fit, signified by 1 million plus in ARR, growing 2 to 3x every year. And we look for very ambitious founders targeting huge industries. But I think that's enough about Notion Capital and myself. Let's move on to Teodor and Fintech OS.
Kamil, thank you very much. It's very interesting to be here and hear all you said. I don't know what we should do. Just basically 2 words about me. Working for the last 22 years in IT for financial services. Been part of some very interesting companies. Some of them I attended at the board level. Some of them I founded. My last company that I founded is Softelligence. It's going good, working at 10 million plus a year. Last year we decided to shift gears and we spin off Fintech OS, which is essentially an innovation acceleration technology for digital banking and insurance. I guess it's better if we watch I don't know, kind of a 2-3 minutes movie that shows some real examples of Fintech OS usage, so that we can better chat about that.
That sounds good.
Okay, let's see.
Wow, that's super exciting. A lot of features, and I counted at least 5 different products that usually come and stand alone, and obviously having it aggregated in one tool is super useful. How did you go about deciding what goes on your product roadmap, and how did you manage to build so much in a space of slightly more than a year, am I correct?
So I think it's a fair thing to say that we started thinking about this about 4 years ago as we were growing with Softelligence, which essentially is a system integrator for the financial services industry especially. And then in terms of deciding what's really, really important, I believe Daniel Dinesh gave us a very good speech in the morning, and it's all about customer. Okay, we kind of have a hard kernel, you know, a well-designed kernel that allows you to rapidly build a lot of functionality, particularly around, you know, digital process automation and AI and data enablement. And we use that kernel in order to rapidly grow, you know, the functionality around the so-called operating system. Okay, month in, month out. Right? And last but not least, having the privilege to work on pretty much 3 continents, I could say now, because we work with financial companies in Europe, we work with financial companies in UK, we do it with financial companies in North America, kind of gives you a broader perspective about, you know, what's the common foundation that should link us all.
Yeah, and also we chatted in the corridor a little bit, and I made a comment that working with those large companies, they usually expect you to do a lot of custom builds for them, but you're really focusing on being a pure tech play. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's where companies selling to enterprises usually quite often make a mistake, and how did you go about avoiding spending too much time customizing the product while selling to the big ones?
Well, the good thing is that when you are 40, right, like I am, is that you traditionally made already a lot of mistakes, or not necessarily mistakes, but decisions that influenced your you know, outcome. And when we started Fintech OS, it was clear from the start that we want to be a pure technology player. So we invested heavily in building up an implementation and sales channel from the beginning. And we are doing it at this point with some very, very big companies across Europe, some small companies across Eastern Europe, and we are actively looking to build this you know, community of partners. We are not shy of you know, empowering the insurers and the banks, IT teams to really develop them themselves. We have a very, very interesting case study here in Romania with the biggest insurer, who literally took the technology and bang, 1 month after that, they by themselves just put live 100% digital claims channel. So
that's amazing. And you mentioned that you're celebrating 2 things this month, actually. One being the revenue traction, and the other one being next chapter in the company cycle. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess it's when you are in a young startup, okay, with a great team and a great, you know, partners, customers, you are celebrating something every day. Like one of our customers is saying, there's a lady, she says, she has a tagline which says, "Work as a pleasure," right? So kind of, it's a beautiful way to work. Today we announced that we've added another 600K to our seed round, and we are with our partners Gapminder VC.
Congrats, I think Teodor deserves a round of applause for that. It's a very tough process, fundraising.
Yeah, and we are actively looking to follow on that until the end of the year with another 400. So this would take us by the end of 2018 to the total of 2 million seed capital that was raised in less than 15 months.
Incredible.
So thank you very much. It's in some aspects, I mean, Kamil, you are part of this industry. In some aspects, some things are harder than you expect. Some things are, you know, easier than you expect. We are we dream big. We prepare ourselves for 2019, where we want to raise another 5 million as Series A round, in order to.
Well, you've got my email address and my number, right?
Definitely, yeah. So we are going to to fuel up the international expansion.
And what would you give as the key bit of advice to companies selling to large corporates, big enterprises that take long time in terms of the buying cycle, but also are very difficult to close?
I believe there's no silver bullet there. I believe, trust is very important, and I believe trust is established between people, not companies. It's important to have people in your team that are trustable and, have a good network. I believe you need to be humble and, be there on spot. So I see all too often companies in the early stage focusing, a lot on pricing, right? A lot of commercials, and I'm consciously leaving out the word revenue, because you should concern yourself with revenue. But I believe in the early stage, it's more about, getting into the market, establishing that product market fit, establishing that big references that are going to answer, the tough question that a big guy is always asking: who is using that? Who is using your technology now? So my personal advice is, do whatever you have to do. Be conscious about money, about raising money, about gaining money. But at the end of the day, do that with the, with the whole purpose of building true value for your customers.
And who are the other members of your team? How did you go about building your team a year ago when you started?
Well, we have a very, very great team. I would like to mention my co-founders, Sergiu Neguț and Adrian Blidarus, which is my brother, and actively being the CEO of Softelligence. We also have another great technology guy, Florin Bălcescu, who's working with us. And we have quite a lot of people for a 1-year-old startup. We are 28 in the company, but we consciously did that because we wanted from the beginning to grow quickly, okay? And when you need to grow quickly, you need to be prepared, because if you start recruiting, technology people, sales people, professional services people, marketing people, at the moment that you need them, you are already 6 months to 9 months late. So we went on, early in the market to bring this talent.
Yeah, it's very interesting you mentioned that you're building the business with your brother. I remember looking at research by Y Combinator quite recently, and they tried to determine what really is behind the success of a lot of companies. What's the factor? Is it education, previous experience, founder composition? And they figured out that the business is much more likely to succeed the longer the founders know each other. So good to have a brother on the team.
I guess it's true. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit hard, okay? But like I said, trust is the unique, enablement for success.
Awesome. And in terms of the composition of your team, I think that's something that founders often try to figure out. How do you split between the commercial side of your team and the technical? Where do you put more headcount, and how do you plan to grow it in 2019?
I believe at this point we are putting a lot of headcount in the sales and marketing team, and that's only right, because we have already around 20 customers. We are commercially viable. This means that we still look to add great engineers and visionaries to our product team. But sales and marketing is essential to growing a company. You can grow it with developers. I used to be a developer myself. Okay, our main thing is to build the product. But essentially, in order to be successful, you need sales and marketing visionaries who are taking that product into the market. So sales and marketing.
Okay, cool. And are you looking to stay in Bucharest, or are you looking to expand into other countries? In terms of the headcount, I know you're a global business.
We've already opened up our Holland office, which is going to be our representative office for Western Europe and Nordic countries. We are opening up London in the beginning of the year. And I guess that's it for now until Series A.
Amazing. Anything you'd like to add about the 2019 updates? Are you planning to do, how are you planning to spend the money? I guess most of it will go on the headcount, but any other plans?
Headcount, definitely. Okay. There's a lot of things, you know, that you need to learn about when you. So starting a company in your, early 40s, you kind of figured out you are more experienced as an entrepreneur. And we built a couple of millions in international expansion previously with Softelligence. And you kind of think you are prepared for the first 2 years at least. And as the real years roll out, you kind of understand that you are not prepared. And there's a lot of new things that are popping up. So at this point, we are spending our capital around sales and marketing practices, people standardizing the sales practice, the marketing product market, and so on. Product marketing, sorry. But we are heavily investing in our next generation of Fintech OS, which is going to be launched as a community preview in the summer. This generation is called Genie. And it has a lot of cool AI stuff built into our operating system so that people that are not necessarily software developers, can enable digital processes with artificial intelligence without writing code.
That's incredible. So a lot of big plans for 2019.
Certainly so.
Teodor, Kamil, thank you so much. This was the last session from the Consumer Fintech Revolution section. Thank you very much for all the insights.
Thank you.